Gaming the illusion. Humanity is amazing. I'm more encouraged by the day seeing the avenues of new life and conscious perception with which our species is surfacing. It's remarkable. In a world where things are designed to appear so hopeless and destined for one apocalyptic hell or another, be they global nuclear war or a total AI takeover, life springs eternal, all while the mutant matrix of parasitic control continues to crumble. The illusion persists, does it not? We appear to be in quite the pickle. One big question that seems to come up repeatedly is, do we engage this miasmic fabric called the system or matrix, or is that counterproductive in and of itself? Another question is, how many even consider the option of opting out of that framework as viable in some way? One big dilemma that seems to plague our kind is, can we fix the world we're in? Is it even possible, never mind desirable in some sense, to repair the world system? That may appear to be escapist or esoteric of sorts, but to me that is one of the pressing issues. It's time to think this through. It seems to be time to think again and reevaluate so many of these pressing fundamental issues and challenges. Are we going about it right? Are we hitting the nail on the head in our so-called activism so as to do the greatest good for mankind? This is not to minimize anyone's sincere efforts to stand up for truth, justice and harmony in whatever form. All is energetic fulfillment is some form. But let's step back a bit and see the big picture to perhaps give a more conscious perspective so we keep things from getting us out of whack or pulled into the futile dark vortex we're being confronted fault with. This is a programmed paradigm we're watching and drawn into participating within, very much like the Truman Show, only multidimensional. That's why it's called the world stage. The good guys and bad guys give it emotional credence and compelling drama which we freely agree to take part in, not fully realizing the underlying true nature of things. Understandable on one level. Image by Alex Gross. Realizing this may be a game of some sort does not in any way negate truly conscious or moral actions and reactions at any level, as it's all part of the mix. But it does appear to be a staged drama on an endless loop in some profound way and should perhaps be treated as such and not taken so severely and seriously on a certain level. Gaming the illusion is meant to be a fun experience, otherwise it's all gloom, doom and design destiny in some form, an all too prevalent conditioned perspective. That's why life's a bitch and then you die has been so widely quoted and popularized. A very sad yet understandable attitude. But the fact is, there's so much more at our fingertips. The distraction of entrapping entrancement in Paradox City. It's all a puzzle that enthralls in this 3D level of experience. The seeming writers, directors, film crew, stagehands, props, bit players and leading roles alike are just part of a play at a certain level. And some of the players aren't even human just to make it more entertaining and intricately complicated. And then there's the audience, without whom there would be no need for a play and no interactivity at all. A strange phenomenon indeed. That we can question our reality at this level and imagine, and even experience otherwise, proves there are other perspectives, and most likely underlying and even overriding unseen multidimensional elements at play. Something to think about in itself. As it appears to me and apparently many others, it's a play, a game, but not in some shallow sense. For sure there's some cosmic purpose of some sort. It's not totally nonsensical, nor does this process ever end. I surmise it's mainly a learning ground for experience and growth as we awaken out of the spell of this complex and very convincing level of illusion we call reality. We thereby grow in spiritual character, and perhaps clear past life and or inherited baggage, and continue to evolve along with all of creation. So what is real change? Do we really think the play at this level is going to change in some fundamental way? Maybe we'll shift out of it if humanity is ready. That doesn't seem to be historically verifiable and remains to be seen. But each of our awakenings definitely contributes to the overall reality. And that many are called to engage in active or non-active participation in whatever form is all fine and well. There's no condemnation or judgment in the true universal force. We're each living out our paths. But having this understanding is extremely empowering and liberating on a whole other level. We can rearrange stuff here and there as humanity has endeavored to do for millennia. We can also take it all apart and expose and describe it ad infinitum. That might help some, but I'm not sure that changes anything if we're battling with the external. Exposure won't do that on its own, but it does contribute to the first stage of awakening to some degree. Unlocking what lies within each of us is the key. Back to the Truman analogy, maybe we can even make it a different movie we'd rather see to some extent, but it's still a movie. Some kind of morphing image that would thereby keep up the attachment to it but with the illusion of change. Interesting indeed. Any way we go about it, the play will go on here. It has to, at least at this density. It seems that's what it's designed to do. Interesting perspective, eh? As the late Bill Hicks aptly said. It's just a ride, one that's brightly colored, full of thrills and chills, and appears very real. But only until we fix it? I don't know if that's possible in this realm or dimension. We have to think at another level. This is its purpose, providing contrast, like opposing teams on a playing field or chess pieces on a checkerboard that we find so compelling and entertaining. Trying to eliminate the evil is like having only one team on the field, or throwing rocks at the theater screen attempting to change the movie and eliminate the villains embedded in the script. Or even something as profoundly unconscious as trying to annihilate the dark yin from the yin-yang of creation. We might as well fix our appearance by adjusting the mirror, if I may extrapolate the nonsensical nature of it. But let's face it, it's fun trying to figure all this out. I have to admit that, what a trip. But that's not to minimize the severity of our current predicament. Clearly humanity is being farmed and treated as assets, and that paradigm, whatever its source, will crumble as we each awaken to what's really going on here. The natural world. I like to look at nature as a fractal paradigm here for our grounding and basic understanding. Besides its essential holographic nature with all of creation embedded within it, as it is with ourselves, everything is perfect just as it is. Imagine, without certain parasites we'd be awash in debris. Without predators we'd be swimming in one dominant species. Without bacteria and internal healing and growth struggles of all sorts, our bodies would sicken and decay almost instantly. It all works in concert. All of it. Even if we don't understand it. Sure, things can get out of balance and there's gardening to do here on occasion and some serious energetic challenges. That's our responsibility on a very profound and meaningful level. Real common sense and loving care and stewardship always remain. But let's not lose perspective when it comes to this weird projection called the world stage and the ignorant, reactive-laden attitudes that are attached to it. That only belies a very low level of perception and understanding. This is why native cultures so close to nature enthrall us in their profound wisdom and simplicity. It's all the same game with everyone agreeing to play seemingly required parts. Engage it we all must, but let's also remember to detach and see it for what it truly is. It may seem counterintuitive, but this is where true understanding lies. The mental retort. I can hear the minds churning and arguing with this perception. That's because this perspective defies and negates the need for so much heavily invested time, energy and misdirected attention. That's unfathomable to the lower belief-based energy fields of perception. It's an understanding that defies an entire realm of wrongly empowered interreactivity. But that will escape those within that framework. That lower level operational system predominantly includes humanity's massive uncontrolled ego, individual and collective. That's the separated, mutant spin-off from root creation, the cancerous false ego issue which is at the center of our problems, referred to as the fault or the operational system of the mind they gave us and all the Klingons it attracts, amongst other explanations. I might be losing uninformed people here, but hang in there. That oft mislabeled and misunderstood ego is like the mind, it's its partner in the non-self area where we've been conditioned from birth. Certain aspects of this ego concept are necessary and part of our functioning apparatus. But it's either our master or our servant, our healthy interactive friend or the enemy within, blinding us from the true underlying reality and what empowers interconnectivity. This other fake outgrowth of what we can call the false ego is the great separator, The very thing we came here to overcome as we get back to our source self-recognition and remembrance of who we are. My point is, until we return to the true experiential basics on a personal and hopefully a collective basis, it's gonna be wash, rinse, repeat here as it has been for eons, individually and collectively. We only see through a glass darkly here, but we do get experiential as well as intuitive insights into the other side and are clearly waking up to these profound truths exponentially now. We might as well enjoy it here, but we mustn't fool ourselves. Blaming the external is akin to abject blindness and a very serious case of mistaken identity. It's similar to letting external acceptance and the opinions of others guide our lives and happiness, victimhood, false judgment, projecting blame and a host of other things, when the real issues are inside ourselves, not out there. The applications of this principle are myriad. That's a fast and powerful extrapolation, but a good one. A global awakening? Or are each of us the whole deal? Awakening appears to be first and foremost an individual thing. I suspect when we truly wake up, clean up and grow up, on a person-to-person basis, we perhaps move on from this merry-go-round to try some new adventure if we choose. Unless we decide to come back and try to help awaken a few more, and likely a host of other reasons. Who knows? Curious indeed. So many possibilities, all worth considering. Can there be a global awakening? Maybe. But it's not going to be done for anyone, but by each individual, and the rest will follow. That's ultimately not our primary concern really, worrying about the overall. No movement of any new form of collective affirmation or compliance will magically do it. Otherwise it'll be back to square one, and just another followership rhythmically following some new meme towards a reset on the great model. A sad thought perhaps, but who am I to say? We're each on our own path and have no idea what's really going on, except for small glimpses. So what to do? This approach to life as we know it may appear to require so much seeming sacrifice of what has been familiar to us that it may sound like a lot of work and personal responsibility. This includes a hell of a lot of changes and letting go of our coveted stuff, ideas, beliefs and beloved self-image. Letting it all go never goes over well, and we could die or get killed for trying something so full-spectrum contrarian. The price appears to be way too high on this programmed playing field. Ironic once again, as we're going to lose all of this anyway eventually. Besides the fact that final exclamation point can come at any time. So why not try letting it all go now? Nothing else is working, nor ever has. What's really to lose in the grand scheme of things? Letting go may lead to gaining everything, more than we've hoped or dreamed. Amazing things certainly seem to work that way. We've all experienced that in our lives one time or another. So why not try it voluntarily rather than having to have it all yanked out from under us, or us from it, as will eventually happen? Which doesn't appear to be very far off. It just takes one. The rarefied beauty within all of this is that if even one of us can truly awaken and power up, it proves anyone can. And each one that does so exponentially affects the opportunity for others to break out of the spell, and energetically moves this orb of illusion into increments of more potentiality for those within it. That I find to be extremely inspiring and empowering. This is all quite paradoxical, so don't expect it to make linear sense. If it's all under control, why do anything? Well, there's a lot of reasons. Never forget, if those embodied sages and radicals who dared to speak truth in previous lifetimes in this dimension hadn't demonstrated and shared their awakening wisdom through the ages, I suspect strongly it might have been much more difficult for those of us here and now on this amazing path to awaken from scratch. We stand on the shoulders of the true giants who dared to reach for full-on truth manifested in love. And as compassion has it, they felt compelled to share what they had learned. Let's pay it forward for all of creation. And notice of the great sages, they never said to fight the system, though they didn't condemn such actions. They consistently said to elevate our level of conscious awareness and get back to source as the number one priority, seeing past the illusion and attachments whereupon the basic cause for suffering is relieved. We can't get it wrong. No path is wrong. No matter what we do, we can't get it wrong. That's the beauty of it. Each soul path is unique, and learning and experiencing what it does. There's no judgment or right or wrong in this respect. It may appear that way from the lower dimensional perspective, but that is operating from a place of ignorance in the grand scheme of things. We have the capacity for so much more. Love just is. And it's all. Let's get there and live it the best we can, whatever the seeming cost or obstacles. That's how to play this game, with fearless abandon. Screw the confines, naysayers and wannabe controllers. They're simply game board pieces set to bring about contrast, energetic opposition, and experiences. Nothing more. Just doing their job. Seems like a wonderful setup to me. Opportunities abound as we game the illusion. Let's take the leap. It's exactly like fears, when we face them they disappear like the phantoms that they are. Face it all and transcend the game, while gaming it. Confusing enough. Welcome to planet Earth as embodied spiritual beings. We are one. Yet individual. Onward.